Jeremiah chapter 36. Jeremiah dictates a scroll. In the 4th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Take a scroll and write on it all the words I have spoken to you concerning Israel, Judah, and all the nations from the time I first spoke to you during Josiah's reign until today. So Josiah is his father, and currently he's reigning. So that's a long period of time from when he first started reigning. Perhaps when the house of Judah hears about all the disaster I am planning to bring on them, each one of them will return from his evil way. Now, notice this says, perhaps. That's a maybe. That is a maybe. Then I will forgive their iniquity and their sin. So Jeremiah summoned Baruch, son of Neriah. At Jeremiah's dictation, or from Jeremiah's mouth, Baruch wrote on a scroll all the words the Lord had spoken to Jeremiah. So Baruch was Jeremiah's assistant for 17 years. Now, one thing I do know is that people talk about, oh, this person didn't write that, this person didn't write that. No, they didn't physically write it, but they dictated it and somebody else wrote it down. It is still their words. That's just like the Bible, right? No, God did not physically write this, but the people who did, like this, Jeremiah, these are God's words. These are not Jeremiah's words. Yeah. God gave them to Jeremiah. Jeremiah dictated them, and Baruch wrote them, but they're still God's words. Okay? Then Jeremiah commanded Baruch, I am restricted. I cannot enter the temple of the Lord, so you must go and read from the scroll. So he was banned, which you wrote at my dictation. So I wrote from my mouth the words of the Lord in the hearing of the people of the temple of the Lord on a day of fasting. Read his words in the hearing of all the Judeans who are coming from their cities. Perhaps their petition will come before the Lord, and each one will turn from his evil way. For the anger and fury that the Lord has pronounced against this people are intense. So it's perhaps, again, hopeful that they will turn away from their evil ways, because what's going to happen? Very intense. It's going to be unbearable. So Baruch, son of Neriah, did everything the prophet Jeremiah had commanded him. At the Lord's temple, he read the Lord's words from the scroll. Baruch reads the scroll. In the 5th year of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, so this was the 4th year, now we're in a year later, in the 9th month, all the people of Jerusalem and all those coming in from Judah's cities into Jerusalem proclaimed a fast before the Lord. Then at the Lord's temple in the chamber of Gemariah, son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the upper courtyard at the opening of the new gate of the Lord's temple, in the hearing of all the people. So this is just telling you where they are. Do I have any idea where this is? I do not. Baruch read Jeremiah's words from the scroll. When Micaiah, son of Gemariah, son of Shaphan, heard all the words from the scroll, he went down to the scribe's chamber in the king's palace. All the officials were sitting there. Elishama the scribe, Delaiah, son of Shemaiah, Elnathan, son of Achbor, Gemariah, son of Shaphan, Zedekiah, son of Hananiah, and all the other officials. Micaiah reported to them all the words he had heard when Baruch read from the scroll in the hearing of the people. Then all the officials sent word to Baruch through Jehudi, son of Nethaniah, son of Shelemiah, son of Cushai, saying, Bring the scroll that you read in the hearing of the people and come. So Baruch, son of Neriah, took the scroll and went to them. They said to him, Sit down and read it in our hearing. So Baruch read it in their hearing again. Now, mind you, okay, let's pause. So this scroll, God told Jeremiah to write on a scroll everything that he has told Jeremiah, right? Since the beginning of Josiah's reign up to today. Baruch has already read this scroll. He has written it, he has read it, and now he's reading it again. I know he's tired. When they heard all the words, they turned to each other in fear and said to Baruch, We must surely tell the king all these things. Then they asked Baruch, Tell us, how did you write all these words at his dictation from his mouth? Well, I mean, he said it and he wrote it. Like, I mean, how else? Like, okay. Baruch said to him, at his dictation, he recited all these words to me while I was writing on the scroll in ink. Like, I feel like that's a very stupid question. That's a very dumb question. How else do you think that he got this? Right? Let's be for real. Jehoiakim burns the scroll. Now, this is the audacity. The official said to Baruch, you and Jeremiah must hide and tell no one where you are, a warning that Jehoiakim might want to unalive them. Then after depositing the scroll in the chamber of Elishama, the scribe, the officials came to the king at the courtyard and reported everything in the hearing of the king. The king sent Jehudi to get the scroll, and he took it from the chamber of Elishama, the scribe. Jehudi then read it in the hearing of the king and all the officials who were standing by the king. Since it was the 9th month, the king was sitting in his winter quarters with a fire burning in front of him. As soon as Jehudi would read 3 or 4 columns, Jehoiakim would cut the scroll. He would tear it with a scribe's knife and throw the columns into the fire in the hearth until the entire scroll was consumed by the fire. He's burning God's words. He's burning Yahuwah's words. Like, that's like taking a Bible and burning it. I have a lot to say about that, but we're going to continue. As they heard all these words, the king and all his servants did not become terrified or tear their clothes. Now, the fact that they had no fear, they're like, yeah, right. They're sitting here burning his words. So, of course, they obviously have no fear. They don't care. Even though Elnathan, Delaiah, and Jeriah had urged the king not to burn the scroll, he did not listen to them because they knew burning the scroll, these words are coming from Yahuwah. You don't want to do that. Then the king commanded Jeremiel, the king's son, Sariah, son of Azriel, and Shelemiah, son of Abdeel, to seize the scribe Baruch and the prophet Jeremiah, but the Lord hid them. Jeremiah dictates another scroll. After the king had burned the scroll and the words Baruch had written at Jeremiah's dictation, or written from Jeremiah's mouth, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. Take another scroll and once again write on it the original words that were on the original scroll that King Jehoiakim of Judah burned. You are to proclaim concerning King Jehoiakim of Judah, this is what the Lord says. You have burned the scroll, asking, why have you written it, that the king of Babylon will certainly come and destroy this land and cause it to be without people or animals? Because that's what he said. That's what he said. So Jehoiakim asked this question, but that's what God said. That's what's going to happen. Therefore, this is what the Lord says concerning King Jehoiakim of Judah. He will have no one to sit on David's throne, and his corpse will be thrown out to be exposed to the heat of the day and the frost of the night. I will punish him, his descendants, and his officials, and his officers for their iniquity. I will bring on them, on the residents of Jerusalem, and on the people of Judah, all the disaster which I warned them about. But they did not listen. Then Jeremiah took another scroll and gave it to Baruch, son of Neriah, the scribe, and he wrote on it at Jeremiah's dictation, from Jeremiah's mouth, all the words of the scroll that Jehoiakim, Judah's king, had burned in the fire, and many other words like them were added. So it's not just, what was in the first scroll, it's additional. Okay. And I wrote a note here, Yahuwah said, and another thing for this part, it says, and many other words like them were added. Yeah, he was like, okay, no, I'm gonna have this scroll rewritten, but I'm gonna add something to it. Another thing I need you to know.